I've officially signed as an MMA fighter to the fastest growing sports league in the world. The PFL, baby.
Jake Paul's shocking revelation regarding his boxing career has boxing experts in a frenzy. This time, everyone is furious since he declared his intention to leave the sport. You ask why? The reason is straightforward. His reputation, which was already in shambles following those exalted stage bouts he dared to call fights, has officially fallen into a void, and no sane sponsor wants to work with him anymore.
Disrupted boxing, and now it's time to disrupt MMA. I know this is such a tough sport, and it's not.
What then is a man who lacks credibility and is desperate for money to do? Make the switch to an MMA naturally, when you can join the PFL, a league that is still establishing itself, and make money on lower criteria. Why stay in a sport where talent is truly expected? Jake's strategy interview. Take advantage of MMA's popularity, get a large salary, and destroy a sport that hasn't even had time to establish itself. Traditional. Jake Paul destroying anything he comes in contact with interview. For one reason, Jake's decision to switch to MMA makes sense: money. The PFL offered him a multi-million-dollar contract based on his Instagram following rather than his abilities. Don Davis, the creator of the PFL, essentially acknowledged that Jake's primary function is that of a walking billboard. It's hard not to giggle when even the lead that signed Jake appears more thrilled with his ability to generate talk than his ability to, actually fight. Jake's goal is to get eyes on screens, not to win.
To mention that these champions get $1 million when they win. Join the PFL, baby.
Experts in boxing are already dissecting him, and for good reason. They're posing the obvious query: is Jake quitting boxing because he's not good at it? The answer is as obvious as his poor footwork, without a doubt. He's avoiding the heat by switching to mixed martial arts.
Talked to Nikisa an hour ago. The point is, I talked to Nikisa an hour ago. Two things are happening. Jake is super successful in boxing. Whether you love Jake or hate Jake, we can all agree that guy's the man when it comes to generating attention and revenue and viewership with his boxing career. And it's more successful than it was when we signed him on the boxing side. That has delayed MMA. That's delayed MMA because he's killing it on the boxing side. So will MMA happen with PFL? Yes, it will. Has it been delayed? Yes, it has. My guess is fall of this year, but I don't think it's going to be before then. He's got so many things going on in boxing.
Yeah, it's kind of what they told us as well. We did a little round table with him last month, and Nikisa and Amanda in Orlando, and he was basically like, listen, I got a box. So it could be maybe later this year, maybe 2026, but he's planning on doing it. At least that's
he's going to do it. And by the way, every time you've asked me or Nikisa or Jake, we've probably given similar answers without coordinating. We thought for sure it was 2024 fall.
In boxing, respect is earned by climbing the ranks and facing top-tier opponents. Jake Paul, however, has always been more interested in playing the role of a fighter than actually living it. His move to MMA under the PFL banner only reinforces that notion. Unlike boxing, MMA offers lower expectations for crossover stars, making it the perfect stage for Jake to keep pretending he's a serious athlete while sidestepping real competition. Jake reportedly makes over $30 million annually from his various ventures, but it's hard to respect someone who treats combat sports as a personal piggy bank. This move to MMA isn't about athletic ambition. It's about profit. Even PFL founder Don Davis admitted as much, calling Jake a marketing genius, which is just another way of saying they brought him on for clout, not talent. Jake's focus has always been on calculated moves for maximum financial gain, not maximum challenge. Boxing experts have long pegged him as more businessman than boxer, and honestly, they're right. Every fight, every promotion, every decision Jake makes is about bolstering his brand rather than proving himself in combat sports. Now Jake claims he's committed to promoting PFL fighters and using his platform to elevate the league. While that sounds noble, it's clear his real priority is leveraging his social media fame to keep the money flowing. For Jake, Combat sports aren't about respect or legacy. They're just another business venture. His shift to MMA underlines what's been obvious all along. Jake Paul is here for the paycheck, not the challenge.
And not only am I an MMA fighter now officially signed to an organization, but I am also a co-founder of the new PFL pay-per-view Super Fight.
Not to mention the chronology. Originally scheduled for 2024, his debut has been rescheduled until late 2025. Jake says it's due of his boxing obligations, but let's face it, he has nothing better to do than avoid rated opponents and maintain his ego. Critics perceive it as such. Jake Paul fleeing boxing's increasing strain and taking solace in a sport with less demanding standards interview. Jake Paul has spent years acting like the savior of boxing, but his fight record tells a different story. Most of his opponents had no business stepping into the ring. Tyron Woodley, a retired UFC fighter with zero boxing credentials, Ben Askren, who couldn't outbox a toddler, and Nate Robinson, a basketball player with no experience in the sport. His one legitimate boxing match against Tommy Fury in 2023. He got exposed by an actual boxer. Fans haven't let him off the hook, pointing out he's leaving boxing without ever truly fighting the real opponent. Now Jake's off to the Professional Fighters League, PFL, to sell the same shtick to a new audience. His MMA debut, though, isn't happening until fall 2025. That's nearly 2 years away, time Jake will likely spend filming hype videos and rolling out another merch line. He claims the delay is due to ongoing boxing commitments. But commitments to what? Losing another fight? Experts aren't buying it. They see the move for what it is, an escape from the growing pressure to face actual boxers. MMA offers Jake a fresh start where he can play the new guy card and avoid real accountability. Don't be surprised if his first opponent is a retired volleyball player. Jake's pattern is clear. He's not interested in proving himself as a fighter. His focus remains on selling the spectacle and cashing in, not earning respect or taking on meaningful challenges.
Is absolutely the most lit thing in the world! I need to calm down. But seriously,
For far too long, Jake Paul's boxing career has been nothing more than a horrible joke. He has skillfully avoided genuine competition for years. Oh, hold on. Scratch that he isn't. He has been criticized by professional commentators for picking on opponents with such care that it's like he's plucking a ripe avocado. Nope, Canelo Alvarez. Dream on about a rematch with Anderson Silva.
my platform to market PFL fighters and introduce them to my fans worldwide. I personally will be deeply involved in making sure that the PFL is the best place in the world for fighting.
Instead of stepping up to fight actual boxers, Jake Paul continues handpicking opponents he knows he can beat, or at least those who won't embarrass him too badly. Yet, he never stops running his mouth. Funny how all that talk gets drowned out by the sound of him dodging real challenges. Jake disrupted boxing by being the first boxer to never actually box a boxer. Now he's ready to disrupt MMA by becoming the first MMA fighter to exclusively take on retired professional football players. Boxing experts have been roasting him for years, pointing out the obvious. Jake talks big but avoids anyone with real credentials. At this point, that's basically his career tagline. He loves to act like some kind of revolutionary in combat sports, but his actions scream cowardice louder than his clickbait YouTube thumbnails. Jake's not here for respect or legacy. He's here to sell hype, dodge meaningful fights, and keep cashing in while pretending to be a game changer.
Or hate Jake, we can all agree that guy's the man when it comes to generating attention and revenue and viewership.
Is there anyone more delusional than Jake Paul? No wonder he's ditching boxing for MMA. It's easier to rewrite the narrative in a new sport than face the harsh reality. Jake Paul isn't built for real boxing. Compared to actual fighters, the contrast is laughable. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao were battling ranked opponents as teenagers, while Jake has built his career fighting retired athletes, basketball players, and MMA guys who've never thrown a proper jab. It's no surprise the boxing world calls him a social media boxer. His career is more about Instagram followers than meaningful wins. Jake isn't here for the grind, the sweat, or the glory. He's here to cash checks, post highlight reels, and sell the illusion of greatness. Let's be honest, Jake Paul isn't the savior of boxing. He's its punchline. Every move he makes is about marketing, not merit. He's running from real competition, and his career is more spectacle than sport.
When we signed him on the boxing side, that has delayed MMA. That's delayed MMA. So will MMA happen with PFL? Yes, it will. Has it been delayed? Yes, it has. My guess is fall of this year.
Jake likes to bring up statistics, so let's speak about them now. Yes, it sounds fantastic to have $6 million in pay-per-view sales in 2023. They're paying for the circus, not the sport, until you realize it's all smoke and mirrors. Fans are purchasing tickets to witness Jake's ego being smashed, not to see a real fighter. Despite all of that publicity and money, Jake has never, not once, not even once, faced a rated professional boxer. When the second boxer began to demand real credibility, Jake made the decision to leave and go to MMA. Coincidence, please?
Nikisa Bedarian is also joining as a co-founder of this new division for the PFL, and I'm pointing him the head of making everyone.
His defeat against Tommy Fury was a public unmasking, if there was ever a bout that took away the facade. From his careless movement to his ridiculously erratic jabs, Fury revealed every weakness in his game. Tommy Fury isn't even a top-tier fighter, and Jake appeared to be an amateur posing as a pro. Although he's not quite a world champion yet, he is a respectable boxer. Experts weren't holding words either, describing Jake's career as a house of cards based on vulnerable opponents and YouTube celebrity for someone who enjoys discussing how to change the game. Jake's take on boxing seems less revolutionary and more like a comic farce. Jake Paul's transformation of boxing into his own reality show is the true tragedy here, not just him. He's undermining its legitimacy. With each headline he creates, he erodes the honor of a sport founded on perseverance, self-control, and decency. Supporters are tired, and experts are correct when they state that Jake Paul isn't quitting boxing, but rather the limelight of actual problems. Clickbait fights, overhyped pay-per-views, and a sport that suffers as a result of his shenanigans are the legacy he is leaving behind.
It matters. The opponent matters. Right? The opponent always matters. Jake is brilliant at picking opponents. So, of course, it matters who the name and the opponent is.